Welcome to the SaaS Revolution Show. Saravana Kumar. Welcome, Saravana.
Thank you very much, Alex, for having me here.
Yeah, great to have you on the podcast. We've spent plenty of time together at SaaSdoc conferences and SaaSdoc local events in the UK, SaaS Society as well. We could probably list a whole number of events where we've met and spoken. You're the founder and CEO of Kovai. So it'd be good to understand a little bit about Kovai in a minute. But first of all, who is Saravana Kumar?
Okay, I actually, I come from a technical background. Like I moved to UK back in 2000. It's one of those, classic. You might have heard the term body shopping. It was very popular back then. That's when all this offshoring thing started. Like you bring people from India and elsewhere, and people bring it here, and then they put you on a contract job somewhere through an agency. So that's how I came to UK back in 2000, and then I spent about 10 years working for various clients like Accenture, Microsoft, and Fidelity, and those kind of people. And I was specializing in this particular Microsoft product called Bootstrap Server. It's a middleware product, and it's used by a lot of large companies. And I used to work as a consultant for 10 years. And during that time, I just figured out there is a big gap for large customers, like when it comes to the governance, operations, security, etc. And something which I started off as a hobby thing. I never thought, I'd start a company. That was not the intention. Because of the technology passion, I started building something, and then I eventually put it on the market, and gradually it grown organically. And for the last 10 years, I've been focusing on building that, and it turned into a viable business, and that's where we are now. That's my 20 years snapshot in maybe 30 seconds. Yeah.
But were you always entrepreneurial, or was this something that just happened?
I will say I was always entrepreneurial, it was not like a ambition or something to build. But when I look back, historically, before I moved into UK, I'm the first son to my father, and my father is a businessman, not a big scale. He was running like a small shop kind of thing in India, and right from the age of 12, I will say, I've been involved in the business in some form. I just wrote a LinkedIn post as well. Now, if I look back, all those little learnings, what you have done when you're a child, unconsciously, how to deal with money and how you deal with partners and vendors and, buying, borrowing, all those kind of things, I think I'll say contributed significantly. And, I think that's what gradually turned it into when the opportunity came and when you started, seeing something coming up and all this connections started to work, and then you're able to link up and then accelerate on the learnings what you had 15, 20 years ago. I think that's how I see it. And probably, looking back, even if this didn't work out, I'm pretty sure, I would have gone in some entrepreneurial form rather than working for somebody, because one of the things I get bored very easily, and I see that is a pattern for people who are, want to do more, very easily, I can't stick around on something for a period. I think those are the little characteristics I would say, just turned into a business entrepreneur I'm today.
Yeah. And Kovai, what is it? What problem are you solving? Why did you want to found this company?
Okay, the original story is basically I started Bootstrap 360. As I mentioned, I was working on this Bootstrap Server Microsoft product, and I found a lot of gaps. And I just started this Bootstrap 360 as a starting point. And we were very focused on that one product for nearly 6 years, between 2006 to 2016, 17, even something around that time period. We had only one product, and the company is called Bootstrap 360. Even though we had an umbrella company called Kovai, the holding company was Kovai. The brand wise, it was always Bootstrap 360. That's how people know us. So what happened was, like we started, you after 6 years, you reached a point where, you wanted to hold your engineering resources. You don't want to let them go. And I started sensing, okay, if I don't do anything, people are bored because I'm coming from a tech background. I know exactly, people get, or you can't keep them. Like if they're really good people, they want to do something exciting. And that's how we started off as a second product, more on the Microsoft Azure. It's called Serverless 360. And then we started Document 360 because of the pain points, what we saw with Bootstrap 360 and Serverless 360. So all these things, okay, then we were in a stage where we needed some kind of identity for all the products together. And that's when we thought, okay, let's push our the holding company as a main brand. And then we brought a whole branding exercise, and we brought Kovai.co as a company on the top. Yeah.
So can you give me a bit of data about the company? Are you able to share how many employees, whether you're bootstrapped or funded, revenue, if you're happy to kind of share that? So give us a bit of a picture in terms of the company itself.
Yeah, sure. Right now, the company size is about 120 employees. We ramped up to almost double our headcount in the last 9-10 months, I will say. In terms of customers, overall with all the products combined together, it will be around 1,200 customers, 1,200 customers. About half of it are, like 600, 700 of them are Bootstrap 360 customers. They're mainly for the Bootstrap 360. When we say customers, it's all like a real hardcore, solid enterprise customers because of the nature of the product. It's not. It's about $10,000 per annum kind of a price point. So it's we are talking. It can go up to $100,000 price point. So real, like when you look at our customer base, like we have Microsoft, Boeing, Airbus, Shell, BP, those kind of Fortune 500 companies. So we have both offices in India and in London. So we got about 10 people here, and the remaining all in India. So revenue wise, I would say we are close to 10 million mark.
Very cool. But were you, and correct me if I'm wrong here, like last year, were you at 3 million ARR and now you're at 10?
No. It's not 3 million. I think it was always, we never had that kind of a hockey stick kind of growth, but it's always like a gradual, 20% increase, kind of a steady growth throughout the period.
Okay, so 20% annual growth is that what you're
saying? Something around that mark. Yeah, so it's always like a steady growth. Yeah, it's never had it's not like a moment like this. It's just the incremental growth throughout. Yeah.
Okay, and you said you're bootstrapped, right? So you've not taken any VC funding. Why?
The main reason is the first 6 years, as I said, it's all Bootstrap 360. The two things, one, we are dealing with the enterprise customers, and when you're dealing with the enterprise customers, you have enough cash flow coming. Like if you close, like a handful of them, you're talking there's enough revenue for you to keep going with the company. And the two main factors why the first 6 years I thought, even I can't even convince a VC because one, it's a very niche product. It's something like, you can say some kind of a security product or something. I can't really explain to a VC what we are doing. They probably won't even understand what we are doing. And also we had enough cash flow. That's why we thought, that is probably, there's no necessity for us to, and also this is not one of the product where if somebody gives me 10 million, I can throw that money in somewhere and I can acquire more customers. That equation was also not there. So there's no particular necessity for us to go. And over a period, the financial status improved and we reached a stage where we are self-sustained. And that's why, the steady growth in the last 9 months. So, so we were very, careful up to that, 8-9 years until, because when you run a bootstrap company, you're cautious on every direction, and we build it up. And once we reach a stage where we have enough financial backing, that's when we thought we will accelerate. And then last 9 months, we doubled our headcount. And also the interesting thing I didn't mention is, we invested about $1.2 million in our new office in India. So that is actually for this. Actually, it's not even Bangalore or Chennai. Our office is in a place called Coimbatore, which is like a tier 2 city in India. So you can think of like Sheffield or Leeds in UK. It's not London. So for that city, that kind of investment is actually like I don't think anybody got that kind of office setup in that place. So we hired exactly the same architects who did the Freshworks Fresh Test, because Girish is a good friend of mine. So we brought exactly the same architects. I told them exactly this is what I want. Like, okay, go build it. And so we haven't opened it. Actually, it was supposed to open in April, but due to COVID, we just everything done, locked up, and it's there.
Okay, very, very cool. I think I've seen some pictures of the offices on Facebook, so it looks really nice. And say, Shane, I know that you were planning to have opened it and had your team in there, at the moment, but hopefully that will happen, at some point in the near future. Many bootstrap companies they get caught in this slow SaaS ramp of death, and there's a great talk by Gail Goodman around this, and some bootstrap companies they have that hockey stick moment to come out of it. Now, I think you said earlier that you've not necessarily had a hockey stick moment. It's been very steady growth for you guys. But initially, those initial years of being bootstrapped, did you feel like you were in this very, slow SaaS ramp of death? Was that quite difficult, sort of like building the company without this external funding, obviously relying on the enterprise sales, but to kind of get that growth? What's been your journey in those initial years?
Yeah, I don't think we ever were in a pressure situation where we need to, need to rely or, worrying about the financial thing. Like the first 7 years, so it was a very steady growth. And also I was very conservative, I will say, we're always having enough cash to run the company at least for 2 years, not throwing away all the money. But things are changing dramatically now in the last 1 year. So now, it's so much learning. You probably have seen me every single conference and speaking to a lot of people. And all those things are, Document 360 is something we're executing in a typical modern SaaS kind of a business, where we are throwing a lot of money into the paid acquisitions and, right now, just to give high level numbers in terms of acquisition costs, the cost of acquiring for us is about 15 to 18 months payback period. I know this is very high, but that's fine for us to throw that kind of money for us to learn faster and see which channel is working, and over a period we can optimize it. But now we are pretty bold in terms of putting more money and accelerating things faster. In fact, Document 360 is our fastest growing product in the company now. It's only 3 years since we started the product, but my focus and all the senior management focus is everything on Document 360. And we started rating, for example, Capterra and G2 Crowd, they all ranked us as #1 now in terms of knowledge management category. So all those things requires, a lot of funding to support it. These things doesn't happen automatically. I think I won't say I will say it's a more like a learning, 7-8 years coming from a pure technical background where you started everything from scratch, building a team and putting all those operations like customer success and sales and marketing. It's a huge learning. And now I see the way I'm looking at it is, okay, what are we going to do for the next 10 years? In fact, internally, our vision statement is 2030, basically, where we wanted the company to be in 2030. We probably will do 1 or 2 more products added to our portfolio under Kovai, and also going deeper into all these products, what we have now. And the learnings, what we have is incredible in the last 8-9 years, and we are going to apply it and scale it, basically, yeah.
Cool. So, I mean, it leads in nicely actually to the next question, but before that, so as you said, like Document 360, fastest growing product. Do you run, so you have the 4 products, BizTalk, Document 360, other 2, I can't remember. But do you run them as separate businesses or like separate business units?
Yeah, I think internally the way it works is all the engineering resources are pretty much separate. So we have some shared components and things like that. Other than that, each department is different, and also like they run it like a small company within the organization. We are looking at about 25 to 30 people is the size of each product is what we are looking, because anything above that is very hard to manage and you end up building wrong things. So 25 to 30 people is the capacity, and we have, of course, the common admin kind of operations like accounts, HR, some which goes horizontally, but more or less all those individual products are run as a separate entities within the company. Yeah.
So if Document 360 is fast growing, like, would you consider taking venture capital for this one and building $100 million business?
I think probably, yeah. Like one of the things what we are doing as internally, we are actually restructuring the company as well into group of companies. So that work is going on. So we will position it as Document 360 as a one company within that group of companies. The reason why we are trying to do this restructuring is mainly because of that reason. Like we can see, like, okay, this requires a lot of funding to scale at a larger scale. So if we can figure out exactly, that's why we are spending money, even though the cost of acquiring customers are higher. Once we figure out a model, like exactly, which channel is working and where we can put $1 and get $2 back, we can figure it out. Probably we will need more funding to scale faster. So yeah, I think I'm not saying I'm going to run this forever as a bootstrap thing, but if there is an opportunity, that's how it is, right? Whether you want 100% of a $100 million company or 10% of a $1 billion company is what you need to figure out. So yeah, I think if another 18 to 24 months we will know. But until that point, probably we don't need it. That's what I'm saying. Like I keep getting requests every day. In a week, I'll get at least 4 VC requests coming up, and I put a Calendly block, something in the mid of next year, like a 2 weeks block. And I said, okay, go book it there. And I'm actually accumulating all of them for the 2 weeks next year.
Okay, very cool, very cool. You should be meeting them at SaaSdoc, and I'm sure you'll get also some more VC meeting requests after this podcast goes live. So talk about the multiple products and like your mission about launching multiple products at scale. How do you do it? I mean, like doing like one is I'm sure kind of like hard enough, but you have 4, and as you said, they're running as separate businesses. Obviously, there's got to be the structure and process that kind of in place. How do you do it?
Okay, well, one thing is it's definitely harder. I will not definitely recommend to anybody. In our case, okay, the first product reached a stage where it's completely matured. We reached a stage where I can't really do anything more on that product. So once we set it up as the team is matured and they can run it on a completely self-sustained, I spent about 90 minutes a month on that particular product. Like I got 2 meetings a month on alternate every 15 days. Once I got like a team meeting, 90 minutes each. That's all I spent on that product. And the other products are all very well structured. Like the engineering practices are pretty matured. You can imagine, like, I come from a technical background with 20 years experience of building technical stuff and 8 years of learnings in this. Our technical side is super strong. In fact, like we can build anything now. Like if we see an idea, we wanted to build it, we can go for it. So that technical maturity is there. And also when you're doing like a multiple products, there's also a benefit of, like a cross-utilizing things. For example, there is a payment stuff, which is common across all the products. You don't need to duplicate it every time because it's have a mature thing. We have to similarly authentication, how you authenticate users. We have a complete framework to do all those things. So in fact, now we are in a stage where if you want to spin off a new product, we can take it to the market in 4 to 6 months. All the core work is we can take it and then you can plug it and then just put the new things and stuff. So I'd say it's also a lot of process improvements as well. Like the initial days it was easy, but as you add more and more employees, all the process improvements are also there. They're constantly learning and improving, but it's a multitude of things combined. But I will say it's harder. If you're a young startup or if you're really new, I will say like focus on one thing. Sometimes I get a doubt. Am I putting 100% into one product? Because it may be a lot of opportunities if we go deeper and capture the entire market rather than slicing too thin. Inside the company, people keep asking me, when are we going to start the new product, but the next product? but it's not in the cards at the moment, because until these things all settle down and mature and it gets into self-sustained model, we are not going to do the next product here.
So you mentioned on one of the products you spend 90 minutes a month on. Where do you spend the rest of your time as CEO?
Okay, I got a very clear definition. In fact, I had to share that with my management team now, like how I'm going to spend a week. I put only 40 hours as official working hours. Of course, you spend a lot more than that, but officially for the people in the company, I have only 40 hours allocated. So 20 hours goes to document 360. So the 50% straight goes to document 360. And I get 4 hours for sales, 4 hours for marketing, 4 hours for finance and customer success. And then I got the remaining, I think I can't remember. Like I just, this is the note I sent to everybody. This is how I'm going to split it. And I'm going to spend majority of my time on document 360.
Excellent. And when you say 4 hours in sales, 4 hours in marketing, are you actually selling the product? Are you marketing the product? Or are you sitting with those teams? What can you elaborate more on that?
I'm sitting with their teams. Like the one thing I learned as when you getting bigger and bigger, you shouldn't really do anything. Once you say you're going to do something, that you lose your entire time basically. Okay. When you're at the beginning, you do everything first and you do it, but once you mature, you really don't do it. So when I say 4 hours with marketing is a good example. Like, I spend 4 hours with the head of marketing. So that is a solid 90 minutes, one-to-one catch up on every Monday. So there we go through each and every number, like how much did we spend and what are all outstanding, pretty much everything. And then I attend, okay, there is a SEO specific meeting or some new campaigns or something like that. It's a very detail oriented thing. I attend that way. So I don't really do anything. Maybe I need to write a blog post or something like that. I'm aiming to write 1 blog post a month. So that's all covered in that thing. And same for sales as well. So weekly ones, we have like a deep dive sales and then look at the numbers and things like that. Yeah.
So you've been running the company around 10 years, is that right? Yeah. What are your biggest learnings over the last 10 years of running the business?
I think I will say on the people side, really, I will say like I'm super matured now on the people side of things, because I made some really, really silly mistakes at the early days, mainly on the people side. So now you know exactly what to talk, what not to talk, and like how you can work with people's emotions, which are very important. Every single thing, just to give an example, if I'm really angry with somebody, or I wanted to write an email, 5 years ago, I would have sent that email straight. Okay, bang, 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 and then only after sending you realize, oh, I shouldn't have said these statements. But now I don't send it. I might write it, but I won't send it for 2 days. And the things, anything critical, I don't take on the fly decisions. In fact, like the level of, the loose talk, or, you're talking freely, it's reduced significantly, very cautious, because you don't realize, people take every word, what you're saying is critical. So, that is one of my biggest learnings, because I remember like once you're upset for something else, like, personal or something like that, you look down and people started, looking at you and, okay, what's going on? Like, is it something is hiding and those kind of things. So that's one big lesson, I think everybody comes to the same point. Like, handling people and team is the biggest challenge for everybody. How do you preserve your existing team, keep them motivated? And directing them in one direction is the hardest part. I remember once Des Taylor Intercom putting the arrow things. If you don't focus, actually, you might have a lot of good people in the company, but they are going in different directions. Actually, getting them in a single flow is the hardest part, and that's exactly like simplifying things. And we implemented, the EOS traction thing in the last 1 year. We spent a lot of time. All our meetings are standardized now. We run level 10 meetings, whether it's a one-to-one meeting or a team meeting. Everything is a standard structure. And then, we have rocks, and then we follow absolutely. So we simplify a lot of things, and I think those are all the lessons I will say.
And this year, a very challenging year for many people because of the global pandemic. What have been your sort of biggest learnings, really, let's say, over the last sort of few months because of this? Because we've seen so many companies, have to adapt. So many CEOs, of these companies, leading their companies through, unprecedented times. For you, what were the biggest learnings that you've had?
I think for me, the biggest learning is, as long as you have the company culture intact, people trust you and value your culture, everything is fine. In fact, I won't say we didn't see any impact at all, other than, people can't go to office and they miss that, the social element of the office space. Productivity wise, we haven't seen any drop at all. I think what I feel important is, people need to trust you at the top. So you need to build that trust, which takes a long time. Whatever you're doing on the good for the company and employee and everybody else. So yeah, I think in our case, I really didn't see any drop in productivity or anything. In fact, people did work more. And we didn't stop anything. You might have noticed some of our Facebook posts, we continued, rushed and finished off that office work, which was supposed to be done. That is done. And this year we plan to the original, in the way we are scaling the company in India is we hire about 25 to 30 fresh graduates every year. And we put them on a proper training. We have a full-time training, the curriculum. It's almost like a small university for 6 months. They go through the full curriculum, and out of that, people come, and then we place them into different departments, different things. So we are going ahead, it's all completely online now, Zoom, online meetings and doing that. So we haven't stopped anything. So personally, and for me, it's always remote because the whole team is in India. I spend a lot of time on Teams meeting. We don't use Zoom, we use Teams internally. And for me, there's no difference. And overall, I really didn't see any challenges at all.
Yeah. How do you stay healthy and sane?
Okay, I think in the last couple of years, I've started to focus more on my personal health as well. I think I realized most of the time you have the time, but you don't have the physical or mental energy to do the work. So that's when, 2 years ago, I realized, I need to keep fit. So I have a personal trainer, he's pretty good. And I do sessions with him, and I also an active badminton player. So I play about 6 hours a week. Okay, I haven't played for this COVID. Otherwise, I play 3 hours on Tuesday evenings and 3 hours on Sunday mornings. So that is 6 hours. And then, I do about, I would say 3-4 hours of other gym kind of exercises in a week. Yeah. So yeah, but the bottom, I keep telling my team as well. In fact, internally we ran a challenge, a plank challenge. I told them people to come with a 1 minute plank when they're during this lockdown period. So I try to push them as well to be healthy.
We said, and we've spoken that obviously you've attended, many conferences, and for your learnings. Now, I guess sort of with COVID, we can't do it in person. Obviously, we won't be, and Document 360 won't be in person in Dublin, sadly, this October. But so, what are you doing to continue your learning, sort of during this period? What have you changed there?
I constantly, like everybody else, there's a lot of podcasts I listen to, and then there's a lot of fantastic videos on YouTube I listen to. I spend about an hour, 40 minutes, something like that in a day. Evening, I walk around in the nearby places, and I just listen to some podcasts. I pick up, something interesting, and whenever I go for a walk, I just try to listen at least one podcast or something. 30 minutes is my time window. So within that, I every day watch, listen to something else. And I think it's a kind of a lot of times now I feel like it's a repetition, quite a bit of repetition. It's hard to find something new. That is
Yeah.
the biggest challenge, every interview or anything, I hope this interview might give something useful for people, but that's the hardest part I'm finding. Okay, I glance through the title. Okay, you can, just from the title, you can analyze, predict, okay, something, what the lines will be. So, I keep it at 1.5 speed at the start. And then sometimes, depending on the quality, it will go up to 2x, or I'll come bring it down to 1.25.
Awesome. Well, Saravana, thank you so much for taking the time today to join us on the SaaS Revolution Show. Been great speaking to you, and yeah, hope we will see each other again in person soon.
Yeah, thank you very much, Alex. Thanks for having me, and I wish you all good luck. Hopefully, SaaS Talk should be back soon. We are hoping. Yeah, thank you very much. Thanks.